Just 5 days from the start of Northwestern's football season, the Wildcats are in the air on the way to Dublin.
You are Locked On Northwestern, your daily podcast on the Northwestern Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. This is Locked On Northwestern, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Carter Bird, and thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every day. So, as we talked about in the open, today we're going to talk about Northwestern. They're on the way to Dublin. They've named some team captains, and then also how Nebraska presents some challenges for Northwestern as this opener has approached and as it continues to approach this weekend. So I want to start with, at the press conference yesterday, Pat Fitzgerald announced that Northwestern has named its captains for the 2022 season. So some of these names on here shouldn't come as surprises. Two of them were representatives at Big Ten Media Days. But the first name he mentioned was Adetomiwa Adebawore, senior defensive end, 6'2", 280 pounds, 2021 All Big Ten honorable mention. Led the team in sacks and tackles for a loss with 4.5 and 8.5 last year, respectively. Fitz was very, very complimentary of Tommy, as he called him. He said that every year in the program, you have seen growth out of him. He really took over this 2022 team in January and has been a stalwart in the locker room, a true leader. And he just brings that relentless effort and work ethic every day to the facility and to the field. And that's, as Fitz went on to talk about, that's been big, especially for this defense from a leadership perspective. Next up, Fitz mentioned Evan Hull, a junior running back, 5'11", 210 pounds, 2021 All Big Ten honorable mention as well. 1,009 rushing yards last year and 7 touchdowns. He said that when the leadership council meets, each guy kind of gives a speech at the beginning of the year, and he gave one of the best speeches that the leadership council has had in Fitz's tenure, and he said it's well deserved for Evan Hull to be named one of these captains. Next up is Andrew Clare, the Bowling Green transfer from last season. He's a grad student, 5'11", 202-pound running back. He's not a starter, which is I think is a credit to him. He was a guy who in a reserve role last year averaged about 5.5 yards per rush, which was, I believe, was top 10 in the Big Ten. He has really worked hard to gain the respect from his teammates around the locker room, especially being a transfer going into his second year at Northwestern. Somebody who I think it says a lot about him as a person and a leader that he's not a starter, but he's able to take a leadership role and be looked at by his teammates as a true leader and as somebody worthy of being named team captain. I think that's important. I think that having somebody like that, somebody who may not be the star player, I think that's a good person to have as a team captain. Somebody who that way. At times, I feel like at the NFL level, some of the team captains can just be the star players on the team, and I would prefer a guy or two like Andrew Clare that is a a reserve guy, a backup running back, but somebody who truly earned the respect of his teammates and earned that place of leadership. I think it's vital to have people in leadership roles all up and down the roster, not just starters. And so that's something that it stuck out to me when he talked about Andrew Clare. Next up, no surprise, the left tackle, Peter Skoronski, big 6'4", 315-pound junior left tackle. He's a 2021 All Big Ten first team selection by the coaches, second team by the media. Was a 2020 All Big Ten second team selection as well. Was a 247 All True Freshman team in 2019. Projected first round pick, but this guy, with his play on the field, how he handles his business, is somebody who you can tell he's the leader of the offensive line. I think it's a good sign that the anchor, your left tackle, you either want your center or your left tackle to be the leader of that offensive line, and he's shown that he can be that. I mean, he's one of the 3 reps at Big Ten Media Days. He's a team captain now. I mean, it says a lot that he has the respect of his teammates and they view him as a leader, that he was by the coaches and the teammates, that he was picked team captain and he was picked to be a rep at Big Ten Media Days. So finally, to round out the group, you have Bryce Gallagher, junior linebacker, 6'2", 240 pounds, 89 tackles last year, which was top 15 in the Big Ten. Younger brother of Blake Gallagher, who played on the team in years past, but another guy who's a vet, has been around the program for a long time, whether it be his tenure or his brother's tenure before him. He's been around the building. He understands the culture. But Fitz said all 5 guys are outstanding representatives for his team and are really a microcosm of the leadership on this team. And Fitz talked wonders about this team and the leadership on it, specifically on defense. There's leadership all over the ball. I mean, he even talked about having leaders like Ray Nairo, who's wearing the Wildcat jersey this year, the very special number 1 jersey that has to be voted on. He's a senior wide receiver, 5'10", 190-pound guy, former walk-on. So that's having guys like that start out as walk-ons and earn their way. I mean, last year he was the leading kick returner. He's being relied on as a big special teams player this year. He's going to have a chance to crack that receiver rotation and see an expanded role there. 20.6 yards per punt return last year. I mean, I think Fitz may have described him in his last press conference as a special teams like god, like top best player of the Big Ten on special teams. I mean, he's to have somebody come into the program as a walk-on and then work their way to a place where he can be in a leadership role, he can be in a key moment, a key spot for this team. I think that's just a credit to this 2022 team and the leadership that they have up and down the roster. And I think that that's a very good sign going into this 2022 season, season opener is 5 days away. So it's right around the corner. Like, it's getting closer every second. So yeah, those are the team captains and the Wildcat jersey wearer. But those are, Fitz talked a lot about the leadership between these players, these 6 players, these 5 captains, and Ray Nairo, and that kind of mentality, that culture has spread throughout the Northwestern program and will help lead them into this 2022 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from online betting to scores to podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thanks again for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every day. The ultimate college football preview is here. A 7-episode preview with college experts, local team experts, and Odyssey college football insiders. It's everything you need to be ready for the college football season in one spot. Search for the ultimate college football preview on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so now that we've talked about the team captains, we need to talk about Northwestern and traveling to Dublin, because it's going to be a process. It's going to be an interesting few days for this football team. So right off the bat, Northwestern had practice early this morning. Then I think they got themselves organized. They got packed. They headed over to O'Hare, and they hopped on a plane, and I believe they are in the air pretty much right now. And they are on the plane to Dublin, where they will get there Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning, and they will check into the hotel, grab some breakfast, and then really get their Dublin experience rolling. I think that they have a big team dinner scheduled for this Wednesday night. I think there will be some players' families at that, the coaches' families, and everybody kind of around the program will be there for that. Then Thursday, Fitz did say that their Thursday, Friday, Saturday would be just like a normal week once they get over there. I think Wednesday is going to be the day that's a little wacky. They're going to get on the plane. They're going to get a bite to eat. They're going to, as he put it, take a nap. And then they're going to wake up, and it's going to be Wednesday morning in Dublin. And then that's going to be the way that they operate. And then I think Thursday, they do have a bus tour that they're going to be going on. And then I think they have another team dinner at the Guinness Storehouse Thursday night, and then Friday and Saturday will be normal operations for the team. But then what is unique is they have a bye in week 1 because they're playing in week 0. So they're going to stay an extra day in Dublin. It's which I think is a really cool opportunity. And Fitz said that they're going to have 3 or 4 different options for their guys. They're going to let the guys sleep in because I think they're going to finish the game around 9-ish. He said Dublin time, or I guess in the local time zone over there. And then they're going to go to a big team dinner, almost banquet type situation Saturday night. They're going to have, again, all the players' families, all the coaches' families, some friends, the whole team there. And I think he said that they're going to see about 600 people at that dinner. So that's going to be a big event. That'll be fun. He did say that it would be a great place to celebrate a win, which of course it would be. A big banquet post-victory would be a lot of fun for this Northwestern team. But then Sunday, they're going to have 3 or 4 options, and they're going to kind of have the day to themselves. Fitz mentioned that he's going to be tuned in to his son's game on Sunday, so he may not be as out and about as some of the other players on the team. But I think that's a really unique and fun experience for these Northwestern players to be able to go to an international country, which he said most of the guys on the team had not been international. I mean, some of them, on these college football rosters may not have really been on planes all that much. Well, they're going to get to explore a completely different country, different environment. And he said it's a great opportunity for Northwestern as an international school to further promote that, to get a unique experience for the players. And I think it's something that not a lot of programs will be able to compare this experience to. I mean, as far as I know, Nebraska and Northwestern will have something that no other program will really have in terms of playing internationally and getting to experience a completely different culture. And I think that will be a really unique experience for both of them. Obviously, Northwestern will be able to embrace it a little more because Nebraska has to come back to the States and play in week 1. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out for them. They probably won't get to experience it to the level that Northwestern will. But I just think it's a great opportunity for this Northwestern team over in Dublin this weekend. So now that we've talked about the captains and the Wildcat jersey, and we've talked about how they're getting over there, let's talk a little bit about what Fitz had to say about preparing for this Nebraska team with so many new changes on their roster. So with this Nebraska team, something that Fitz was very, very repetitive saying is that it's a very talented Nebraska roster in 2022. There are a lot of fresh faces. There are a lot of transfers, a lot of new coaches, a lot of returning players. Specifically, he talked a lot when he talked about new coaches. He talked about Mark Whipple, the new offensive coordinator from Pittsburgh. He talked about going back through, not just watching film from when he was at Pittsburgh, going back through his coaching career, watching film of his offenses, and trying to figure out from a coaching perspective how Mark Whipple and Scott Frost are going to marry their schemes together for this Nebraska team. He also talked about going back and looking at the film for these incoming transfers. He singled out Trey Palmer, the wide receiver from LSU, talked about how noticeable he is when looking at LSU's film, how he's a difference maker, he's a playmaker, he's explosive. Then he talked the same way about Texas's film because Casey Thompson is expected to be the starter for this Nebraska team on Saturday and be that first guy out there to take snaps. So I mean he singled those guys out, but he spent time talking about how not only did they have to watch film on this Nebraska team from last year, they had to spend a lot of time going back and finding film on individuals. I mean, there's transfers up and down this roster, 15 different transfers on this Nebraska team. 10 of them currently slated to start somewhere on this offense or this defense for Nebraska. And so it was a little bit of a logistical challenge, I think, for this Northwestern coaching staff to find film on all of these guys that are going to be across the board playing for this Nebraska team. And then went back to wherever they were playing ball before Nebraska and kind of dug through to see how they play, what's their skill set. And he even said that they did spend some time looking through the freshmen on this Nebraska team and trying to find the guys that they believed could make an impact in this opener, trying to just find as much information as possible, but at the same time, didn't want there to be a as he put it, paralysis by analysis, by over analysis. So kind of trying to keep it within reason. He said that, of course, with this much turnover in the Nebraska program, the first quarter is going to tell a lot about this game. They're going to have to make a lot of adjustments. I mean, he said that there's going to be adjustments in the first quarter, and then as Nebraska continues to make adjustments, they're going to have to as well. But they're going in with a game plan that they have, we're with an idea of what this Nebraska team is going to do based on all the research they've done on Mark Whipple, these transfers, Casey Thompson, Trey Palmer, all these new faces, all these returners. Talked about the deep running back room that they have, the kind of turnover they've had out wide with weapons, and then specifically on that offense, he talked about the big physical tight end and the offensive line that, as he put it, took it to Northwestern last year. Said that, yeah, there's been some turnover, but I mean, that's something that this Northwestern defense is going to have to tackle in the beginning of this season, and specifically that first quarter really set the tone, and they're going to have to adjust off of that. So that's how all the turnover at Nebraska has affected this Northwestern team. How it has made them, if anything, almost prepare extra for this opener. But so we've talked about that, and then we've also talked about the new team captains and Ray Nairo in the Wildcat jersey, that number 1 jersey, and then we have talked about how Northwestern, it is a business trip, and Fitz very much made that point. He said they're going over there to win the game. That is the goal. The goal is to win, but it's also a unique experience for the players, and so they're going to try to make it as worthwhile as possible. And so he kind of laid it all out, what their plans, all the events that they're going to have, and hopes that they're excited about the opportunity, but he hopes the players embrace the culture and the atmosphere over in Dublin, but also know that they need to take care of business on the field, and that's going to be the first and primary challenge for this Northwestern team. So that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every day. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, really anywhere. You can follow me on social media, on Twitter at CarterBird13 and on Instagram at CarterBird13 as well. But thank you for listening, and also make sure you know what your team is up against across the Big Ten with Locked On Big Ten. Every day, host Nate Dickinson and local experts of Locked On take you across the Big Ten in 30 minutes. Make Locked On Big Ten your second listen, Locked On Big Ten. So be sure to check that out and the Ultimate College Football Preview. See you next time.